My name is Burak. I am a core contributor to Yarn. Yarn was my first project when I first joined at Facebook, and I helped organize launching the 1.0 version, if you remember the launch of that. And then I maintained it along with Arcanist Mel, who now actually maintains it until like 1.3.2 or something. And today I'm going to talk about how Yarn PnP can save your space time. But before that, a brief history. How many of you think people at Facebook invented Yarn because they hated npm? Okay, that is false. Sorry, I had to call that out because, as Christoph also mentioned, we do not want to compete with people. We actually want to collaborate with people, and we actually looked into ways of contributing back to npm, and it was not possible at the time. So it was obvious that we need to come up with something. The reason Yarn was invented because we needed something more something harder to break. So how many of you tried using npm2 for a long time? npm2, no one. Wow, you're lucky people. Like npm3, 4? Okay, cool. For people who don't know npm2, then it was pretty brittle. And if you had a dependency of a dependency, and even if you tried to lock its version, even with using shrink wrap, etc., it didn't really stay the same. And back at the company I worked for before at Facebook, we actually had to debug a production issue because the build server used a newer version of Uglify.js, which had a faulty Boolean optimization. So everybody was seeing the edit button for comments on web pages. It was pretty hilarious, and nobody could reproduce it locally because they already had an older version of it, which was not buggy. Anyway, so this is one of the problems that we wanted to fix. And the second problem we wanted to fix was to have a better developer experience. npm is pretty good right now, but back in the day, it was not really easy or nice to use it. So this was the second thing. And faster installations. Now, you take this for granted. Like, everything is fast right now. Maybe you don't agree with me, but trust me, it was super slow. And when you have to do something super slow multiple times, or maybe thousands of times per day on your CI servers, or per people, it really goes out of hand. And finally, we needed some stronger guarantees. I already mentioned this, having better locked-in dependency trees for every single one. Who still uses RMRF node modules to fix stuff? Okay, that's surprisingly low hands. I expected more, actually. So, if you're working from home or a small office or something, it's fine. Like, hey Joe, RMRF node modules, it should be done. When you're working with thousands of engineers and you just break something, you cannot just go to every single one of them because first, they're not in the same office. 2, you don't have that much time. And 3, they're not even in the same time zone. So yeah, that's also one of the things that Yarn tried to solve. Again, we still like npm. We work with them, and we still try to work with them. So there's no, malignant going on. I'm emphasizing this because still some people come online and say, "Oh, Yarn is amazing. npm sucks," or the vice versa. It's not really productive. Anyway, I only have 50 minutes, so I'm just gonna make this quick. 2 years later, we came up with some new concepts, workspaces. How many of you tried workspaces? How many know that exists, that the workspaces exist? Okay, about the same amount of hands. Okay, so you just Google Yarn workspaces, and you see Lerna and mono repos, etc. This really changed our game here inside at Facebook, and it also helps some of the open source community projects like React, Babel, and those are the 2 ones that comes to my mind, but there are actually more that are using workspaces to manage multiple repos in this, multiple projects in the same repo. Okay, offline mirrors. Anyone using offline mirror? Okay, surprising a few hands. Well, actually not surprising, but usually you should not really rely on your network. So here at Facebook, we at least doesn't do how many of you had suffered from the left pad incident, for instance? Okay, 0. You're super lucky. We also haven't suffered from that because of offline mirrors, so you should use them. Anyway, resolution overrides. I'm pretty sure nobody knows this. 2 hands. Okay. 3 hands. I stay corrected still. Resolution overrides is a solution for when a dependency of a dependency needs to be updated, and you cannot update it because you don't own the dependency itself. Let's say you have a project that uses React, built by someone else on GitHub or something, and then React 16 came out, and it's compatible, but it enforces everything to use React 15, and you want to go to React 16, and you open a pull request. Hey, React 16 is up. Can you update your project? Hey, 2 weeks later, like React 16 is in, there's actually React 16.1 now. Can you update your project? And then like 2 weeks later, someone comes, oh yeah, I'll do it when I have time. And this is terrible, especially if you have a security issue. Like this is just annoying, this example. But if you have a security issue, then you actually had to fix it right away. And resolution overrides gives you this power right inside your package.json. You say, okay, this dependency inside that dependency should use this exact version, or like, you should force it to, above this version or whatever. If you Google this, you'll figure it out. And this has been there since Yarn 1.0, actually. So, yeah, shame on you. Sorry. There's also automatic conflict resolution. Have you ever bumped into any block file merge conflicts? Sorry. Okay, I have few hands, unfortunate people. If you are able to fix your merge conflicts in your package.json, then you don't need to deal with the computer-generated file. You just run yarn install, and Yarn just figures it out and merges it for you. Unless you don't change the same line, or like update change the same. Actually, even then, it usually recovers. Anyway, not gonna delve too much into that. And finally, we have an improved CLI. One of the highlights of Yarn CLI are actually Yarn Y and Yarn Upgrade Interactive. When I first tried Yarn Y, I was really amazed. I'm like, why am I using this package? It's like blah blah blah. I'm like, wow, mind blown. I don't know if it exists in NPM, but hope they get it, because I think it's super useful. And the Upgrade Interactive, like instead of doing line by line, you can actually have a full screen page, and you can just pick and update your dependencies to their latest compatible versions. All right, now the big moment comes. I see it on my screen. I don't see it here. We have invented something called Yarn Plug and Play. How many people heard about this? Oh, that's pretty good. How many of you know how it works? Good. Now you'll learn. And you'll also see my somewhat broken slide. Sorry about that. Let me just tell you a brief story before that, like how this came to be. So Mal, my partner in crime for Yarn, we were sitting in a room, and like I asked him to like come up with some crazy ideas if he had any of them or something. And then after a few of them, he mentioned like something like this. So Yarn install is fast. Like we did our best, concurrent copying, copy on write, etc. But it's still quite slow. It's one of the most annoying pieces, and it's like one of our benchmarks. So what if it went away? I'm like, what do you mean? What if you just, need to install something? I'm like, how are you going to do that? And he said, what if we were able to hook into the require function itself in Node, which is available, like, that's how Babel on the fly compilation works. And then we just give you the file directly instead of, seeking it from Node modules, but from Yarn cache or wherever you want. I'm like, okay, that sounds crazy. Like, do you think it's doable? And he got me a working demo in one single week. 1 week, it was just working. I mean, not fully working, but like it was, he was able to demonstrate that it actually works. And then 9 months passed, and he published a 14-page spec describing how to get rid of Node modules. So we can share it with the community and like force, or like not force, but like encourage other people to adopt it. Can we cut this, please? Can we just go back 5 seconds? Time traveling debugger. Sorry, just joking. It's seriously, it's not to force, but like to actually show Node people that more like better hooks into the require is needed, and they were already working on something similar. So we're going to be able to shape some of the discussion there and help them have a better API. And around the same time, NPM also came out with something called Tink, and hopefully those projects will converge. Now, the difference between the Tink project is we have been using this internally for a few weeks before we actually released this, and that was one of the core requirements of the project to be open source. Normally, for Yarn, we just go open source first. That's why it has a GitHub presence, and the GitHub organization is actually separate from Facebook, so everything goes there publicly directly. But this was a controversial idea, and we wanted to make sure that it actually worked. So we built it, We integrated with the whole system and then made sure that it actually worked without any problems for multiple weeks, and then we released it. Now, it is a battle-tested implementation as of 1.11. There's some minor bugs probably, like 1.12 actually is in release candidate mode, fixes a few of them. I noticed one slight glitch when I'm going to show you with the demo, but most of the time, like the glitch is not really important for production purposes, so it really works well. So what are the advantages? The advantages are like you have faster installs because there's no file copy operation at all, except for downloading them from the internet if you don't have them already in your cache. So there's almost no I/O. Faster startup because you don't need to look up files. Like when you try to require a module, especially when you're deep in the Node modules directory, Node actually does lots of file system lookups, like goes above and above, above. And if you try to use ASAR files in Electron or something, you will actually see even just looking up the file inside that virtual directory tree takes some time. With PnP, since we already have the resolution in a hash table, we just look it up and give you the direct file path or file itself. Sorry. And you also have stronger guarantees. Now, what does this mean? Normally, if a package implicitly relies on a dependency declared above itself, let's say I have left pad and it implicitly relies on right pad being available, but it doesn't declare it as a dependency. Now, if you have a project which has both left pad and right pad, they can use each other and no warning is shown. With this one, since we resolve everything at the beginning, if left pad tries to require right pad, Yarn actually catches it and says, no, man, no, you cannot get right pad because you didn't declare it. And it actually prints you a helpful message saying, this happened, you should fix it, or, something is broken. And this is also really important for large-scale deployments. Finally, it allows you to have a fully optimized tree because, well, perfect hoisting is possible because you're not bound by the file system itself. You can, refer to anywhere you can. It can be a network drive even. This will probably also help Docker installations because now you can just, load this directly as a volume. Yeah. So how does it work? It's pretty complicated. You do this. Just enable PnP. You can also declare it in your package.json file. The syntax is online. I'm not going to put it here. But essentially, just enable it and it just works. Now, there's some slight quirks. If you're using Webpack, Jest, Rollup, etc., some of them make some assumptions about Node modules. So you may need some plugins, and those plugins are already written by Mael. Thanks to Mael. By the way, he would be here, but he's out of town right now, so unfortunately I cannot introduce you to him. And then you need to use Yarn Node for your scripts because this actually injects the resolver before your script. So your script, when your script requires, it is resolved by Yarn's resolver. And finally, you may be thinking, okay, what happens if Node modules goes away? Like sometimes I actually go into Node modules, find the files from dependencies and try to work on them, or hack them or understand the code. Well, Yarn unplug to rescue. So you just say, Yarn unplug and your dependency name, and it just spits out that dependency in a specific folder, tells you where it is, and even better, it now reads the dependency from that folder until you tell it otherwise. So you can change it, you can hack it, and then you can say, I'm done, clear this out, and go back to normal. And on Node side, you don't need to do anything special. This works with Node 4, Node 6, Node 8, Node 10, because it just hooks directly into requires as long as you inject it. Now, just like the previous presenter, I have a rule. I hate live demos. So I made one, single one. Or I am 4 times as short on time. 1 second, I'll bring it on the screen. Okay, this is going to be harder than I thought. So, essentially, that's fine. I just need to see the screen. That's the problem. Okay. I'm going to run Yarn create React app, and just let it run. This is the normal create React. So I already had create React, so that part got really fast. Fetching is also fast because I already have the things in my cache. Now we're linking dependencies. And it actually failed. So we're going to try again. Because live demos. I'm so lucky that this is actually not my punchline. Okay, so it is copying files now. It is copying files already on the file system in a cache, one by one, as concurrently as possible. Can you hear the pen noise? Sorry. And then it does more. I don't know like what the second part was like. But we spent about 30 seconds installing, the thing that already exists on my hard drive. Now, hopefully, this part will work. Now, all I'm going to change is yarn create React app, and then I'm going to say hello PnP, and I'll add -- use PnP at the end. This is available since create React app 2.0, so did you see how fast that went? You probably couldn't because it was super fast. So on this side, we have 32 seconds, and on this side, we have 5 seconds. Even better. Let's do ls. Whoop. Can anybody see node modules there? Oh, sorry. This is the one that doesn't have it. Joke. I knew it. And now let's see this one. Oh, we have node modules there. No? Oh, wait. I'm in the wrong folder. This was a mistake. Okay, we have node modules there. And we don't have node modules here, but we have a .pnp, .js, and .pnp folder instead. Those are what Yarn uses internally, but if you look at the sizes, they're nowhere comparable. Well, you cannot see the size of node modules, but you probably don't want to see because it's the heaviest thing in the universe. Now I'm going to show one last thing because I'm actually over time. Is that fine? Just 2 more minutes? Sure? Right? Okay. So I'm going to do yarn unplug. Unplug. And do React scripts. And now it put it into this folder. Now what am I going to do is going to get this folder. That's a really long name. You know what? I'm not going to do this. But we can actually see that folder inside that .pnp folder in unplugged. And if you change it there and run it from there, your changes will be picked up. And now all you need to do once you clean up is yarn unplug and clear all. And it will just, whoop. Yep. We need types for this. All right. It cleared it in, and when we're gonna do one last yarn install to bring the obliterated one back, and then we're gonna be good to go. And it's gonna go as fast as usual. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you very much for listening, and